What we want to do in this movie is elaborate on the discussion that we had in the previous movie, which is combining content together to create one piece of artwork. I'm working with a document called compoundshapes.ai, and what we want to do is take a series of shapes to create one shape. Now, if we take a look at what we're looking at here inside of this document, we have essentially a skeleton for that flower. If you think about what we were dealing with in the last movie, that flower would have been unnecessarily complicated to draw with the pen tool. You can certainly do it, but if you take a look at this, we're just using this oval over and over and over again to ultimately create that shape. And there's several benefits to this, but obviously speed is one of them. You can quickly and easily create that flower shape by reusing the same shape over and over and over again. But how do we make all of these separate ovals become one shape? Well, what we're going to do is take a look at a popular and powerful panel inside of Adobe Illustrator called the Pathfinder panel. You can find it by coming up to the Window menu, and under the Window menu, you can choose Pathfinder. Once you select that, the Pathfinder panel will open. Again, what we want to do is get all of these ovals to become one shape. So what I want you to do is click and drag a marquee around all of those ovals. You can hold down the Shift key to select this center circle. We don't want that to be selected, but everything else is selected at this point. Inside the Pathfinder panel, under the Shape modes, you can go ahead and click the first button, which is called Unite. If you click it, you'll notice all of those ovals unite into one shape. So if you wanted to apply something like a fill, you can do that, and you'll notice that the flower is one shape. So again, what if we want to punch a hole in this? Well, we know that we can select the flower and hold down the Shift key and select the circle. Then we could go make a compound path if we wanted to. But in this case, I don't want to do that. Now remember, the center of the circle is selected. In this case, it doesn't look like Show Edges is turned on. So under the View menu, I can go ahead and choose that command. Now you can see that both the flower and the circle are selected. And if we come over here and take a look at the different shape modes, what we can do is select minus front. When you do that, it takes away that front element, essentially punching a hole in it. So minus front is essentially the exact same thing as coming up to the Object menu and choosing Compound Path and then selecting Make. You'll notice in this case, Release is available. If you choose Release, it's restored back to its original appearance. So what I want to do is show you what some of these other shape modes offer. In order for us to do that, I want to come over and choose the Ellipse tool. With the Ellipse tool selected, I want you to come over and choose the default fill and stroke. In fact, we don't need to fill at all, so go ahead and choose None with the fill as the foreground color. Once you do that, you can click and drag out a circle, and then just click and drag out another circle. So we have two circles, and you'll notice that they overlap. Because they're overlapping, we want to make sure that both of them are selected. With both of them selected, we can explore what some of these shape modes will do. As you know, Unite will essentially join them together. I'll go ahead and undo that. Minus front will essentially, in this case, take that top shape, in this case this second circle, and punch a hole in the shape underneath it. So we get kind of this crescent appearance, kind of looks like a moon. And we also saw that work when we selected this center circle. It essentially will punch a hole in the shape underneath it, and that's exactly what it's doing. But again, I want to come over here and select both of these circles. With both of them selected, we can then come over here and select this button, which is Intersect. When you choose Intersect, essentially what happens is the shape of the two intersecting shapes is created. So here you can see we have this intersection. When you click that button, you essentially get that shape, which is like this football shape. Again, I'll go ahead and undo that. Then finally, we have this option here, which is Exclude. When you click it, it really doesn't look like anything has happened, but really what has happened is you've created three separate shapes. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. Actually, instead of undoing a bunch of times, what I'm going to do is come up to the File menu, and from the File menu, I'm going to choose Revert to revert back to the last saved version of the document. Now I'm doing that because I want to show you one other thing. I'm going to go ahead and zoom into this a little bit. I'm going to select all of these ovals, just like I did before. I'm going to hold down the Shift key and deselect this circle. What I want to do this time is come over and click this button, but this time I'm going to hold down the Option key, or Alt on Windows. When you do that, you create something called a compound path. The advantage of a compound path is you still have all of these path lines available. By having access to all the paths, ultimately you can manipulate this object after the fact. This is really considered kind of a live object because you can manipulate those paths. However, if you wanted to get back to the original behavior, you can always come over here and click this Expand button, which will expand the compound shape into a single shape, and in this case, it will unite all of them. So that's a quick overview of the Pathfinder panel and the shape modes that are available inside of it. Again, having the ability to take simple shapes and piece them together in a way to create a more complicated shape is one way that you can save a lot of time inside of Illustrator.